Hi, it's Dr. Parikh. I'm on my second attempt to do this video. I almost forgot my own name. I've got a migraine going, but I really want to finish up this video before I end for the day. So that's where I am. So Google Drive. Most students have worked with it before, but I want to make sure you know how to find the documents you need. And it has some glitches, so I want to talk about what those are. But I think they finally added enough features that it can do APA style with a little help. So I want to go over what things to watch for. I give you templates, but you really need to understand the formatting rules so that you can check to see if anything has changed. And you need to understand enough of word processing, like how to work the different functions, to know how to fix things. And I will say, when all else fails, Microsoft Word it's just more powerful than Google Drive. One of the big differences so far, I can't figure out how to get Google Drive to show me all of the formatting. I can download an extra tool that'll show some of it, but when you can't see where the spaces and tabs and enters are, it's really hard to diagnose formatting problems. So when it's not doing what it should be doing, when it's adding extra spacing or when it's just being weird, it's really hard to diagnose the problem in Google Drive. So I recommend when you're having issues to download it to Word, either on a school computer or you can get Word for, I think it's $15 as a student. I think I have the information in the link in the syllabus. If you look there and can't find it, feel free to email me if you're interested. I still do most of my APA style writing in Word because I think it's a better program. I use Dropbox to sync across my different, so I can access it from different computers. But for this work, I think Google Drive is better for a few reasons. For one, a lot of students just have a Chromebook, and Google Drive works better with a Chromebook. I think there's ways to use Microsoft products now with Chromebooks, but I think it improves accessibility for people. In a pinch, you can do a little bit of work, on a phone or tablet. I don't recommend that as a main way to work on it, but you could go in and edit it in a pinch. And it just makes it so much easier to work from different locations, especially for my in-person classes. You can come into the lab and hop on a laptop or a Chromebook that the department has without having to, download, save, re-upload. It just kind of tracks everything for you. And the autosave is great because it is just gut-wrenching to do a lot of work and then realize it didn't save. What else? Yeah, those are my main reasons for switching to Google Drive, but I want to walk you through how to use it. So even the sample papers are in Google Drive, so if you click, so I've set them up so that you can access them. They should all be set for any kind of account, but I recommend that you try to use choose your Caldwell account when you're working with it, because you're going to copy files onto your account. And you could download them all and use them on your computer. I'll show you how to do that too. But if you're using them on your drive and you want to share it with me or with your peers, it's much easier if everybody plays in the Caldwell ecosystem, because the organization is a little protective and it doesn't like to share with people who aren't at caldwell.edu. So for example, right now I'm here in Mozilla Firefox and I've got one of my private accounts instead of my school account. And so it's not treating me as a Caldwell member right now. So the sample papers are here they are not converted to Google Docs. And I will show you why. Last time one of my issues was my computer froze up and wouldn't open anything, which is really tough to show you online stuff if things aren't opening. So if you go in and look, so let me show you each. So each paper is actually a set of papers. So there's folders, and here the former cult members, and this one you'll notice I kind of mentioned the literature review has some weaknesses that get addressed in the research proposal. Most of them, both papers are really strong. This one, it just so happens that I really wanted to highlight the revisions that this person did between the two. If you write a really strong literature review paper, you usually aren't doing too many revisions with the introduction when you pull it into your research proposal. But this person had a weaker literature review and did a lot of work. Side note. So I'm going to leave these as Word documents because that way the formatting stays correct and you're really just looking at it. You don't need to type anything in it. You'll notice here up at the top, it comes up with heading stuff every time I move my mouse. But you'll notice that the running head and the short title, The Cycle of Cults, and then the page number, it's all even. It's all the same amount of space below that browser bar. As we come down, we see that is a boo-boo. I usually fix those before I upload it, so I'm not sure what happened there. But if you look at the bottom, it seems to be about a 1-inch margin, maybe a little bit more. So this one, maybe more. Let's pick another, well, let's look. So now what I did, I was in it and I asked it to open as a Google Doc. So open with, I chose Google Docs, and this is exactly what came up, but you'll notice now it messed up some of the formatting. Because if I scroll so that the running head is right at the top bar, this page number is down lower. So now it inserts something else. So if there I just hit delete, you'll notice in this first page header, there's different first page. That's one of those last settings that I was waiting on, that I couldn't use it for APA style because the first page you're supposed to say running head. After that, you're supposed to not say running head. Here, something's a little jacked up, so I could cut there. I don't know. I would have to mess with it a little bit. This is where it gets difficult, that it doesn't show the formatting, because it's really tough for me to see. Yeah, none of that's helpful. But it's tough for me to see what's going wrong with the formatting, the way it is here. There's nothing, and again, I've looked, I have an extra, does that help? No, probably not. I have an extra, I downloaded something extra to try to help me look at the formatting, but it's just tough. So if I really wanted to fix this, I would probably download it into Word, which is more flexible. I'm also more familiar with Word, so maybe, some of you may be yelling at your screens. There's an easy fix that I'm just not familiar with because I'm less familiar with Google Docs than I am with Word. Especially in Word, if you just Google like running head Microsoft Word, APA style, you should get, let me just do that, running head APA style Microsoft Word. And there's lots of, there's multiple videos. This is in addition to the resources I have for you on Blackboard. There's multiple, lots of people have questions about how to format this stuff. So if you're really struggling with the formatting, you can also search. Let's see what happens when I search Google Docs. So here there's some stuff. Yeah, there's some resources. So it's certainly worth using, or certainly worth searching. But if you have issues, you can check there. Another thing you'll notice is that suddenly there's a lot more unused space at the ends of pages. Some of that was just chance because when you have a new paragraph, it never puts just one line of a paragraph. So sometimes you'll get awkward amounts of space. And actually, because there's a heading, and I think there was up here, you're never supposed to leave a heading alone. So you should push the heading down. So you can occasionally end up with really awkward amounts of space. But part of what it is that when you have a 1-inch margin, which is what APA style asks for in Google Docs, it actually cuts things off really early. So that's not gonna, yeah. So I moved it down, and if you look here, I'm at the 1-inch space. It seems like those lines should fit, but when I format it that way, they don't. So what I've done in the template is I've actually shortened the bottom page a little bit, or I'm sorry, lengthened. So it's technically a little longer than it should be. So here, so up here, for one, you'll notice I use a contraction because in the template, I'm writing to be clear and conversational. In formal writing, you do not use contractions. But you'll notice it seems like there's enough space for an extra line here below the margin, but because there's only a few words left on the last line, it pushes it down. Now let's see, so I took this template. So this template, I have gone in and made sure that things are formatted correctly. So it still has the different first page, but it took out that awkward spacing down that usually comes up when people upload a paper into Google Doc. Now let's look and see. I download, let me see, what do I want to do? Actually, I want to go back to Chrome and I want to show you. So when you need to download things, you can download as a Microsoft document or as a PDF. If you do not have Word on your computer, download as a PDF only, because if you don't have Word, you can't really look and make sure that the formatting stayed the same. You always want to check for changes before you upload. So if you do a PDF, every device has free PDF readers that you can double check. So let me see. So I've already downloaded it as a Word document. So let's see how this shows up. So the running head still looks okay. So I'm looking up here. Again, you can highlight it and see everything. Now in Word, I can come to Home, and over here, I'm on a Mac, but you can click on the paragraph. You'll see I have a giant, I have 80-point font here. That's because of accessibility software. Accessibility software gets messed up when you have like 6 enters in a row. So I just make this one really big enter to be a little more accessible friendly. And you see I used a column break to go on to the next page so that this would start at the beginning. All of the headings are bolded correctly, so abstract does not get bolded. You have your title of your paper here that isn't bolded, but headings in the paper are bolded. So the formatting's all in here. And as I look here, it looks fine. I feel like normally it doesn't do that. Normally it's fine with the 1-inch margin, but here I would just leave the margin the same. It's not enough to let another line on, and I kind of wonder if somewhere in the formatting from going from Google Docs, it's got just a little more space than usual somewhere. But either way, as far as I can tell, when I export into a Word document, the heading is fine. Here it looks like something might be a little off because I usually wouldn't leave this down at the bottom. Let me check real quick. Let me look at my Google Doc because it might be something that I didn't notice that's happening. Yeah, something somewhere is changing because in this version, this heading is down here. Maybe I've put in extra enters somewhere. I'm not sure why it's changing slightly, but I might check to see it. This is just puzzling to me, why it would be different. Yeah, I don't know what's different. So there are some odd puzzles. There's still some slightly weird stuff about Google Docs for APA style, but I think the limitations are worth the benefits. Let me show you. Let me come back here. So you can hit sample papers. You can also hit templates and peer reviews. I mean, it's all going to the same basic file folder. Once you get into this folder, you can, let me see. So I don't think there's an easy way to select all. So what I would do is I would just, that's whatever. So I would pick one, just click anywhere, and then do Command A if you're on a Mac, Control A if you're on anything else, to select all of the files. And then you can do two things. You can hit download, and it's going to download all of these files as Word documents, I believe, onto your computer. And you can open them and use them from Word from there. Now, if you just want to put them right back into Google Docs, do not do this. It's going to screw up the formatting over and over again. As far as I can tell, or maybe it might not screw up the formatting. It was comments that it lost when I tried to have it do that. Because at one point I was trying to put some of the template stuff in as comments, but they would get lost when I would convert them, when I would download them. But either way, if you want to work in Google Docs, I'm going to show you an easier way. If you want to work in Microsoft Word, just download them all to your computer. If you are not a tech-friendly person and all of this Google Doc talk is overwhelming, just talk with me. I will send you, I will figure out how to get the downloaded files to you. Another reason that I use Google Docs instead of uploading all of the files individually into Blackboard, it makes it a lot easier for me to work with the files. I can just make a change once if I need to update something, and it updates, you know, for every time you hit the link, it'll be whatever the most current version is if you hit the original link. The other thing you can do if you want to work in Google Docs, if you want to keep it in a doc, hit make a copy. Now I've already done this, so I don't want to make another copy. So here it'll show up as copy of, so everything will be copy of. The first thing I recommend is, so remember, I recommend that you have your Caldwell email address signed in when you do this. I would then hit move to, and I would just create a new folder for yourself. PS 213 papers. And now it's showing an empty new folder, and just move it all here. Or, you know, whatever file name works for you. Let's see. So now if I go to my drive, it's in there. Oh my goodness. Come on. There we go. PS 213, they're all in here. And what I recommend is, as you work on things, just rename it with your last name so that if you share it with me or someone else is seeing it, it's easy for them to know. So instead of copy of, I might just write Parikh. And you can share with individuals. What I might do, if I were you, is just share the whole folder. So if you think you might want me to comment on anything when I grade, I would share the whole folder with me, sparikh@caldwell.edu. And that just makes sure that I have permission to access everything. I'm not going to automatically go looking for your file when I'm grading. So you would then have to include a link to each document when you submit it if you want me to comment on the document if I can, instead of commenting in Blackboard. I don't always make comments at all, and sometimes I just won't be able to go over to Drive, but usually Drive comments are just nicer than Blackboard comments, so I may do that. But again, I need a link there because I'm grading too much, and these little things of going and hunting for things, it just takes too much time when you multiply it out by 18 people in a class, 3 classes, all writing intensive. It's just overwhelming. So I have to pass some of that work on to you. But if you share the whole folder with me, that way it should mean that individual files, let's see, individual files should already be shared with me. So let's see if this file is already shared. No, it's not showing me already. I thought it would show, but you can check. You can experiment. It's still, maybe still set me, I don't know. So that's the basics of how to work with Google Docs. As a reminder, every time you finish a peer review or when you do your paraphrase writing sample, you can complete it in Google Docs. Make sure that you've copied it onto yours because you're not going to have permission to change mine because that's for everybody. But now once you're done, you need to download it as a Word document or a PDF and then upload it into Blackboard. And if you want me to be able to comment back on this document, so the comments will show up over here instead of, Blackboard is a little funky. You would hit share, and then you could just get a shareable link. That might be the easiest way, but make sure that person, I would say edit, because I may want to just show you a couple short things, and I would turn on tools. Trying to think. Somewhere there's, I'm still figuring out, the settings, but there's ways to kind of make them suggested changes or otherwise track the changes that you're making. But I would at least allow comments, but I would just hit edits, because then if I want to just fix something real quick for you, I can. I don't know how often I'll do that, but it's nice to give me the option. If you have any other questions about Google Docs, you can email me. But again, it's helpful if you click through to the YouTube video and ask your question there, because anybody else who has the question can then look there and see your question and my answer. If you have questions on individual documents, if you go back to my original folder, you can also make comments to ask questions right in the documents, I believe. And if not, you can always email me. Right? Thanks. Bye.